college war here
them.
between TCOB and the LAS here?
TCOB.
Typical College of Business? Are we having a little college war? What's going on?
I think so, because you're obviously not educated on the world around you.
Well, nobody wants to
Not
read
you,
nobody
but
wants to read
business.
the New York Times. Come on.
I want to read.
All right. We're
Boo.
going to a song. We'll be back right after this with a change in how the Southeastern Conference treats their coaches and things like that. We'll be back.
Welcome back to Informavores, and we're going to send it over to Alex, who is going to give you the weather.
Yes, it is mostly cloudy out, and it is 45 degrees, but it feels like 37 because of a 12-mile-an-hour wind. And then tonight, it's going to be nice and clear. And tomorrow, it's supposed to be sunny with a high of 54 degrees.
The sun exists?
Very toasty.
It's depressing because it's 5:30 here, and the sun is completely gone. I hate fall, but that's a side note.
Take us into our next story.
Yeah, okay, our next story comes to us from the Southeast Conference, or the SEC, everyone's favorite football conference. As of late, there's been a lot of complaining about officials, and some of it is justified, and some of it is just coaches being coaches. And it's a very public forum, and the SEC Conference has finally said that we're done with it. They don't like the way that the umpires or the referees are being treated by the coaches. So they are implementing a new fining and suspension system that will punish the coaches for publicly calling out the officials. They're allowed to complain, but they're allowed to complain to the conference. Yeah.
They're allowed to complain to
it's
the
like the
conference.
Big Ten. There's been a lot of
well, but in the Big Ten and Big 12, they already have this.
Yeah, it's like the Big Ten because there's a lot of controversy over last week's Iowa game where they thought the Indiana player was a touchdown. They reviewed it and said it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
That the coaches are allowed to say they sent it to the Big Ten and that they disagree with the call, but they can't attack them and yell at them, such as Lane Kiffin, the Tennessee coach, has been in the news for doing this. So do you guys think that it's a good idea to protect the umpire? I keep saying the umpires. I know, it's a World Series game, game 6 tonight, so I'm for baseball. But do you think the referees should be protected by this, that the conference should stand in front of their referees and say, you direct all of your complaints to us, and then we'll deal with the referees, and you just stay out of it? Or do you think that the way that it's doing, the coaches should go after the refs? I
think that'd be fine if they hadn't punished the 3 referees, because there was an issue with, I believe, what was it, an LSU Georgia game?
Yeah.
And there was a very controversial call made, and the CEC actually...
SEC?
Excuse me. Jeez. I'm used to talking financial stuff. All right. Sorry. They punished the referees publicly and publicly suspended them. So why would you publicly embarrass your officials but then create this new rule? And so I disagree. I think that I don't know what the big deal is if the coaches completely call them out. I don't really care.
I think they're caring about sportsmanship, and they want to set the precedent for their players, their coaches, and their fans that the referees are to be respected. Now, I don't know if I personally agree with that because I've seen some bonehead calls, but I think what they're trying to do is just tell people that the referees are human, they're going to make mistakes, and that if there's something serious, that it should be dealt with, but the public does not need to be in on it. Ryan, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think the coaches yelling at the coaches are really going to do anything to change the call anyways.
Yeah.
If the Big Ten and Big 12 already instigated this, I don't see why the SEC can't do it too.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's a good way to handle it. I mean, it's okay to talk about controversial calls, but you shouldn't. It's just not good manners, I guess would be the word, to call out somebody. I just think that shows that you're a bad person.
Although
I guess.
Very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it is.
I just disagree. Like I said earlier, that why would you be against it and then publicly embarrass them? But whatever.
Yeah. That is.
It's the SEC. It doesn't make any sense.
All right. So let's move on to our next topic.
Ryan?
In Cairo, Egypt, there is a fight over whether teachers should be able to wear their Islamic veils while teaching class. What do you guys think? It's basically the whole issue. Just teachers are not...
the government.
Yeah, the government said they are not allowed to wear their veils.
Yep. In Egypt, it's a state-run education system, and they're trying to reduce Islam in their country, which is... To me, I just have a problem with that. Being an American citizen, we're all about diversity.
Exactly. Obviously, from our perspective, I completely disagree with doing this. And if they want to wear their veils, let them wear their veils. How does that really disrupt the class. I suppose then we're going back into our previous subject of politically influencing children. So it's just the Egyptian government taking action there. But I disagree. If you grow up in a non-Islamic home, why having your teacher have a representation of her religion or his religion influence you to decide you were going to be Islamic?
But do you think the state has a right to tell them that they can't? If you're working for us, do they have a right to say you can't do it?
Actually, they do, because they do not have a constitution like the United States. We have no right to tell them what is right and wrong. We can disagree with them, and we can have special interest groups and send letters, get the UN on their case, but they're their own they're their own country, and they're going to do what they think is right. I know a Bush joke is coming right now. Isn't it,
no,
Alex?
I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. But yes, I agree.
I mean, I think it's right for us to be upset, and we should put social pressure on them. But as far as we know, I'm not an Egyptian law expert, But as far as I understand, that it's within their governmental rights. It's just not good PR. But then again, Egypt doesn't care about that.
No, they don't. All right.
Okay, well then, should we go to a song?
Let's we could do one more. I got one for us.
Okay.
So a new law being proposed would allow you to get paid sick time, even if your company doesn't offer paid.
This was
sick time.
introduced yesterday.
Introduced yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it the House or the Senate?
House.
The House.
This is a House bill.
Anyway, so it would give you paid time off, even if you've exhausted all of your paid time, and even if your company does not offer it. Basically, the idea behind it is that so many people are sick with this H1N1 that they shouldn't be forced to choose between their livelihood and staying home and getting rested and their job. So do you think that companies should be forced to pay their employees paid time off for being sick?
And this is on top of their already paid time off?
Yes. This should be anytime you're sick, you get paid. I'm sure there'll be a
Anytime
limitation.
the company tells you to go home.
Oh, really?
Because
that must have been hidden in the article, because I did not see that.
It's because it's about when the company kind of is forced by their work to not show up because you have H1N1.
Okay, no, that changes the ball. That just changed the whole game.
Yeah.
See, that wasn't the main part of the article. From what I saw, the first half of the article was about paying workers for their time off, regardless of whether that's in their contract or not.
Oh, maybe I missed that.
No, well, if that's the case,
I know it was regardless of if it was in their contract, but I thought it was
if they
the
tell
employer telling them the way the university strongly suggests, quote unquote, that you don't come to class if you're ever at all a call.
Well, then that changes the entire argument. Then yes, if the company tells you not to come to work, that because you're too sick or you're going to get people sick, then absolutely you should have to pay them for their day off. If they think that they're well enough to come to work and you disagree, you can't just send them home. That's not right. But at the same time,
they are putting other people at risk of getting sick.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's just it is their company and they're allowed to do what they want.
Yeah.
So I run into that problem, because it's not fair for the employees to come to work feeling like they're kind of sick but okay to do work, and their employer to say, go home, you don't get paid. Because what if they have bills to pay? But at the same time, it's their company, and they should be able to allow.
Well, that was the point. You shouldn't have to choose between your livelihood and going to work. And so you agree with the congresswoman's argument? I can't think of her name right now, but she's a Democrat. It's a congresswoman, and do you agree with her argument that it ends up saving your company money by paying them to stay home, as opposed to having them show up and risk getting other people sick and then losing even more productivity? Or do you think that that's not probable? Like, if you were an employer, would you be forcing your employees right now, if they got H1N1, to stay home?
That argument makes sense to me, because you're going to get a whole bunch of other people sick if you're there with H1N1 coughing on everyone.
Okay, I would just be against it because I think this whole H1N1 thing is a freaking joke. I'm tired of people blowing this way out of proportion. I mean, if you're going to do it for just H1N1, are you going to do it for a cold? Are you going to do it for a flu? Or are you just going to do it for whatever?
Well, how do you know the difference?
Whatever you know.
How do you know the difference? Because at first, it's all the same thing. So I agree that it's very overblown.
Yeah. What are you going to do? I mean, are you going to do this for the cold, the flu, any hot button disease? If someone gets bird flu, well, of course for bird flu, because that's different.
Well,
but
that's like very bad if someone gets bird flu.
But the point is, if you're going to do this for just H1N1, I don't think that's right. I think that you have to do it for all diseases, and then I personally, as an employer, I'd be worried that people would be taking advantage of that.